Hey guys, Shifty here with another Pokemon challenge, this one being Pokemon X with only one Clauncher. I'm writing this before my Pokemon Black with only one Ferroseed videos come out, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed that video and will enjoy this one as much if not more. I chose to use Clauncher because honestly, who the hell remembers this thing? I sure as hell don't. Contributing to its forgettability is its lackluster stats. The only standout thing about it is its ability Mega Launcher, which boosts the power of Aura and Pulse moves by 1.5 times, but it struggles to make good use of it as it only learns Water Pulse by level up and its special attack is barely higher than its physical attack, so this is going to be fun I think. The rules for this run are simple. I can only use Clauncher in battle, but I will use other Pokemon for HMs, and I cannot use items in battle except for held items. And with all that being said, if you guys enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and lets me know you guys want to see more of this kind of content. After choosing my character and naming myself, I get my starter Pokemon Clauncher, which I replace Froakie with so that Serena has a Chestnut, a Pokemon who is super effective against us, making this as hard as possible. After beating Shauna, I check out our Clauncher and see that it has an adamant nature, which means more attack and less special attack. This isn't the best as we don't get a good physical water move until Crabhammer level 32. After getting to Santaloon City, I decide to grind to level 11 for the gym and go in. Viola leads with a Surge Skit that barely damages us with Bubble, and we eventually KO it with enough Vice Grip. Next is her Pavilion, which actually just murders our poor little shrimp. I honestly didn't expect to lose on my first attempt, but I'll come back at level 15 and see how it goes then. I came back at level 15 and this is how it went. We hit Surge Skit for over half its health as it goes for Water Sport. We take a weak Quick Attack and we hit another Vice Grip for a KO. Next out is Pavilion, which uses Harden, so our Vice Grip doesn't do very much. We trade an Infestation for Bubble, which thankfully does more. We trade another Infestation for another Bubble. Viola heals as another Bubble takes her down to under half health. We take a Tackle and our Bubble brings it to the red. And one more Tackle takes us to just 5 HP and our Bubble KOs, winning us the Bug Badge. After we make it to Lumiose, we meet Sycamore, beat his ass in battle, take a Pokemon from him and leave, but then we meet a guy who definitely isn't the villain. We make it to Camphor Town and we go to the Parfum Palace to get the Pokeflute to wake up Snorlax, and Shauna gets very based, and we play Dog Catch with Furfuro, then watch fireworks during the day with Shauna. Finally we make it to Ambrette Town and have to go fight Team Flare in Glittering Cave. They go down easy, but now it's time for the gym battle. I grind to level 25, the same as Grant, and this is how it went. His Amora lands a Thunder Wave on me and I'm not happy about it, but our Bubble Beam does over half its health. Next turn we get hit with a weak takedown and KO with Bubble Beam. Next out is Tyrant, which goes for a Stomp and flinches us so we lose our turn. Next turn we don't get flinched by Stomp and we do just under half its health with Bubble Beam, but the following turn we get KO'd by Stomp. We might be able to win if I EV train in Special Attack and Physical Defense and level up a bit so we hit harder and take less damage. With max Special Attack and max Physical Defense at level 28, this is how the fight went. Grant leads with Amora and our Bubble Beam takes it down to about a quarter of its health. It lands a Thunder Wave for a Paralysis, which I'm not happy about, and on the following turn Grant heals as we nail another Bubble Beam to bring it down to about a quarter. The next turn we eat a takedown and KO with Bubble Beam. Last out is Tyrant, which outspeeds and bites us, but we don't get paralyzed or flinched and land a Bubble Beam for a little over half its health. The following turn plays out the same. We live a bite and fire back a Bubble Beam to KO Tyrant, winning us the Cliff Badge. After arriving in Cormarine City, we meet up with Serena and have to fight her for the right to be able to Mega Evolve our Pokemon. On our first try against Serena, it goes pretty well until she brings out Quilladin, which just messes us up. I try again a couple of times, but eventually decide to just go to level 35 and see how it goes then. It goes pretty well. We set up a Swords Dance after getting hit with a Psybeam. We take another Psybeam but get confused, however we manage to not hit ourselves and got another Swords Dance. Miastic hits a weak Disarming Voice as we snap out of confusion and one-hit KO with Crabhammer. Quilladin is out next, but we outspeed and one-hit KO it with a Crabhammer as well. And lastly is Serena's Absol, which hits a crit slash to bring us to just 10 HP, and we land a Crabhammer for a one-hit KO, winning us the battle. Now it's time to fight Karina. Before the battle, Clauncher got to level 36 from battling the gym trainers, and I taught it Return via TM as I think it'll come in handy later. Karina leads with a Mienfoo that hits a Fake Out, so we lose our turn. On the next turn, however, we get our Swords Dance up, and we take a weak Power Up Punch. Then, on the following turn, we one-hit KO with Crabhammer. She brings out her Ace Hawlucha, which outspeeds and lands a Flying Press for a good chunk of our health, and we miss our 90% accurate Crabhammer, but Hawlucha doesn't feel like doing any more damage, so it goes for Cone Claws, and we OHKO on the following turn. Last is Machoke, which comes in just to die via Crabhammer, winning us the Rumble Badge. Before we can enter the gym to battle Ramos, Serena stops us, but it's the same battle as before, except we won on the first try. Now it's time to fight Ramos. He leads with Jumpluff, which does good damage with Acrobatics, but our return is a 2-hit KO, and on the next turn, Jumpluff goes down. Next is Weepinbell, which goes for Gastro Acid, which neutralizes our ability, so that's fine, and our return takes it to the red, and Ramos gets caught in a healing loop until Weepinbell eventually goes down. And lastly is Ace Go-Goat, which takes a return for about a third of its HP as we take a Bulldoze that drops our speed enough to let Go-Goat outspeed, and we end up going down after a few takedowns. I think this is winnable if we just set up a Swords Dance somewhere, but Jumpluff has Leech Seed and Weepinbell has Poison Powder, so it's a bit risky. Well, I was right. On my next try I got a Swords Dance on Jumpluff and OHKO'd everything, including Go-Goat, which I got a crit on that I think was required to KO, but who would have thought that the grass gym would have been so easy? Before we can take on the electric gym, we have to stop Team Flare to the power plant. Both the admins there were a piece of cake. Now it's time for easily our hardest gym battle yet. Clement. He leads with a Mulga, which just goes for Volt Switch and brings in Magneton as we go for a Swords Dance. The next turn, Magneton goes for an Electric Terrain, which boosts the power of Electric-type moves by 1.5 as we go for Return. The next turn, we KO with Crab Hammer. Next out is Heliolisk, his Ace, which one-hit KOs us with Terrain-boosted Thunderbolt. I'm going to go to level 50 and see if that makes any difference. Well, at level 50, we can one-shot a Mulga and one-shot Magneton, but we still can't KO Heliolisk with Return, and its Dry Skin ability means it heals when our Water-type moves hit it, but I think only 5 more levels is needed. And I was right, level 55 was the magic number, but let's see how the battle went. Clement leads with a Mulga, which we outspeed and KO with one Crab Hammer, and next out is Magneton. We outspeed it and bring it to its sturdy as it goes for a Thunderbolt, which we live with 53 HP remaining. The next turn, Clement heals as we bring it back down to its sturdy, and this happens again the next turn. Then I made an amazing read and clicked Return instead of Aqua Jet, so that if the AI switched to Heliolisk, it wouldn't get stopped by its Dry Skin ability. And we KO Heliolisk with the Return, and the last out is Magneton with Red Health, which we KO with an Aqua Jet, winning us our 5th gym badge, the Voltage badge. We made our way through Route 14, and the battle with Serena there was really easy, so there's no point in showing it, but now it's time for our next gym. Valerie leads with a Mawile, and we go for a Swords Dance as she goes for an Iron Defense. On the next turn, we set up another Swords Dance as she hits a weak Crunch. We miss a Crab Hammer, but on the next turn, we connect and Oko her Mawile, and the same goes for her Mr. Mime and Sylveon, winning us our 6th gym badge. We then had to save the Pokeball Factory from Team Flare, which went pretty well. If I don't mention Team Flare anymore, it's because they were really easy, so it's not worth showing. After making our way through Route 16, it's time for another Serena battle. We got kind of rolled because our Meowstic hit a really powerful Psychic, and then our Chestnut followed up with a Seed Bomb, but on our very next try we won, and this is how it went. Meowstic fakes us out, so we lose our turn, but next turn we set up a Swords Dance and get hit with a weak Shadow Ball. Then we KO with Crab Hammer. Next out is her Chestnut, and we can do massive damage with Return as it goes for Brick Break instead of the super effective Seed Bomb for some reason. On the following turn we get the KO, and from here on out we just spam Return and KO her Absol and Vaporeon. Now it's time for the 7th gym. Olympia leads with Sigilif, which sets up Reflect, so now all my moves are half as powerful, meaning our Crab Hammer does just under half of its HP. We get hit with a weak Psychic as we set up a Swords Dance to double our attack stat, meaning we are now doing normal damage again. We take another Psychic and KO with a Crab Hammer crit. Next out is Slowking, which takes a Return for over half its health, but it lands a Yawn. We KO, but we also fall asleep, and unfortunately, we never wake up again. Honestly, it was a really great first try, so let's see how we do after a couple more tries. After a few attempts, here's how the battle went. We Crab Hammer as Sigilif sets a Reflect up. Next turn, Sigilif sets a Light Screen, which does not help it at all, and our Crab Hammer takes it to the red. We get caught in a healing loop for the next 2 turns until I KO with an Aqua Jet. Next is Slowking, who doesn't get a chance to yawn us because we outspeed and KO with Return in just 1 hit. And lastly is Meowstic, which hits a Psychic for only 40 HP, and we can KO it with the Crab Hammer, winning us our 7th gym badge. Now we have to stop Lysander and Lumiose, and here's how his battle went. He leads with a Mienfoo that sets up a Swords Dance as we do the same. On the next turn, we outspeed and KO with a Crab Hammer. Next out is Gyarados with Intimidate, so now we only have a +1 attack boost, so I decide to Swords Dance again, and we get hit for 48 HP from Outrage. On the next turn we take another Outrage, but we manage to KO with a +3 return. Second to last is his Murkrow, which goes down to 1 Aqua Jet, and lastly is Lysander's Pyroar, which also goes down to 1 Aqua Jet. Now we have to fly to Geosenge Town to stop this super ancient weapon from being fired. Once there, we fought some admins, but they weren't hard at all, so I'm going to skip them. Our next important battle is the second Lysander battle. He leads with a now fully evolved Mienshao that sets up a Swords Dance as we do the same. On the following turn, Mienshao gets greedy and goes for another Swords Dance, allowing us to KO it with a Crab Hammer. Next out is Gyarados with Intimidate, which lands an Outrage as we set up a Swords Dance again. On the next turn, we eat another Outrage and KO with a Return. Next out is his Pyro, which goes down in 1 Aqua Jet, and lastly is his newly evolved Honchkrow, which also goes down with 1 Aqua Jet. Next, we watch a pretty cool cutscene, then catch Stantler's older brother here, but this upsets Lysander, so he battles us for a 3rd and thankfully final time. He leads with Mienshao once again, and we trade Swords Dances. On the following turn, Mienshao misses a high jump kick and loses 50% of his health as recoil, meaning we can easily KO with Return. Next, Lysander sends out Pyro, which quickly goes down to a single Aqua Jet crit, but I don't think it matters, to be honest. Next is Honchkrow, which goes for a Night Slash and thankfully doesn't crit as we set up a Swords Dance. On the following turn, we Aqua Jet to KO Honchkrow, and last out is Lysander's Gyarados with Intimidate. Gyarados Mega Evolves and hits an Outrage for a good chunk of our health as we go for a Return that just barely misses out on the KO. Man, that Intimidate really is handy. On the next turn, we go for an Aqua Jet and manage to KO the Mega Gyarados, meaning we are finally done fighting Lysander for the rest of the game. Then we make our way to Route 19 and have to battle Shauna and Tierno back to back. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I failed this battle probably a dozen times, so I'm just gonna show the winning run. Shauna leads with a Delcatty. We set up a Swords Dance, then get hit with a weak Play Rough that unfortunately drops our attack, so we Swords Dance again, but Delcatty decide to use Charm, which negates our Swords Dance. We Swords Dance for a third time and get hit with another Play Rough that drops our attack. Finally, I decide we have enough boost and start attacking, and we KO with a return. Next out is Gudra, who also goes down to 1 return, and lastly is her starter Delphox, which goes down to 1 Aqua Jet. Now it's Tierno's turn, but we don't get to heal between battles. He leads with Talonflame, which hits an Acrobatics for pretty good damage as we set up a Swords Dance. On the next turn, we KO with an Aqua Jet. Second out is his Roserade, which thankfully we outspeed and KO with return. And last is Tierno's Crawdon, which also gets outsped and one-shot with return. Lastly for the rivals, Trev heals us, then battles us like a true gentleman. Thankfully he's also the easiest, as all of his Pokemon get KO'd with just 1 hit. Crabhammer for Raichu and Florges, and an Aqua Jet for Aerodactyl. After that, we make it to Snowbell City and we have to get Wolfric back to the gym, and when we do, it's time for our last gym battle. But before this battle, I had to adjust my Pokemon quite a bit. I maxed the EVs in Special Attack and gave it Sludge Bomb because it's better for Abomasnow and Avalugg. Then gave Clauncher just enough attack EVs to guarantee an OHKO on Cryogonal, and lastly split the EVs into Defense and Special Defense and tossed the leftover EVs into HP. Speaking of leftovers, I went and got them from Route 12, and with this, we can cancel out the hail caused by Abomasnow. Speaking of Abomasnow, that's his lead, and it takes about 75% from our Sludge Bomb, but it fires back with an Energy Ball which does just over half our health, but on the next turn we can KO with a second Sludge Bomb. Next out is this weird table. I don't know why, but it takes just over half from our Sludge Bomb and gets poisoned and decides to set up a curse. On the following turn we can kill this weird table. I really don't know what that was about. And last out is Cryogonal, which hits a weak Ice Beam before getting KO'd by our Crabhammer, winning us our 8th and final gym badge. Now it's time for the last rival battle, and after a couple of tries, here's how it went. She leads with a Meowstic, which hits a Fake Out for literally no damage after leftover heals us. On the next turn, Meowstic hits a weak Psychic as our Crabhammer takes it to the red. As we're about to KO with an Aqua Jet, Serena switches to Vaporeon, which doesn't take any damage from Aqua Jet due to its water absorb ability. On the next turn, we hit return for just over half its health as it goes for a Muddy Water. We miss out on the KO with return on the following turn, but it misses a Muddy Water. One more return and Vaporeon is out of here. Next out is Chesson, which takes over half of an Ice Beam, but its Seed Bomb nearly KOs us from full health. But on the following turn, we outspeed and KO with another Ice Beam. She sends back in her Meowstic with red health to die to an Aqua Jet. She sends out her Altaria just for it to die to a 4-time super effective Ice Beam. And lastly is our Absol, which takes massive damage from a return as it Swords Dances, then we follow up with an Aqua Jet to KO. First is the Fire-type specialist Malva. Her lead Pyroar uses Noble Roar to drop our attack and special attack by 1 stage as we set up a Swords Dance. She hits a Hyper Voice for over half our health as we go for a Swords Dance again. On the next turn, we go for an Aqua Jet and KO. Her next Pokemon is Talonflame, which also goes down to 1 Aqua Jet. Her second to last Pokemon is Torkoal, which we outspeed and KO with a Crabhammer. And lastly is Chandelure, which is KO'd by an Aqua Jet. Who would have guessed that the Fire-type Elite 4 member would have been so easy for us? Next, I challenged the Steel-type specialist Wickstrom. He leads with a Klefki, which goes for Torment, meaning we can't use the same move twice in a row, so another Swords Dance isn't an option, so we Crabhammer and KO Klefki. His second Pokemon is Probopass, and we protect this turn to be able to use Crabhammer again next turn. It's just an added bonus we didn't have to take a discharge. On the next turn, our crit Crabhammer doesn't kill Probopass because of its sturdy ability. I forgot the AA would heal here, so I go for Protect, and it's useless. I again go for a Crabhammer next turn to bring Probopass to its sturdy, then it fires back a discharge. After Wickstrom heals again, we go for an Aqua Jet to bring it to the yellow, and on the following turn we protect for the leftovers heal, then finally KO with an Aqua Jet. Second to last is Aegislash, which I read and go for another Swords Dance on its King Shield. On the following turn we can outspeed and KO with a Crabhammer. Lastly is Scizor, which I protect on because of Torment, but on the following turn we can KO with one more Crabhammer. Next is the Dragon-type specialist Drasna, and for obvious reasons I taught Clauncher Ice Beam via TM. She leads with Dragalge, which takes just under half from our Ice Beam and fires back a Thunderbolt for about a third of our health after leftovers recovery. On the next turn I protect Stall for leftovers, and on the following turn we can just barely miss the KO with Ice Beam. Drasna heals as we go for a Crabhammer for the chip damage. After that I protect for more leftovers, and on the next turn we Ice Beam and manage to KO due to a crit. Her second Pokemon is Altaria, which we protect for more leftovers on, and on the following turn KO with an Ice Beam. Third is her Noivern, which we again protect on for more leftovers. On the follow-up we take a Dragon Pulse for about 60 health, then KO with an Ice Beam. Lastly is her Druddigon, which we again protect on for leftovers. On the next turn we go for an Ice Beam, which does over half its health as it goes for Dragon Tail, that unfortunately switches us out to the Fossil that I use as an HM Pokemon that I forgot to put in the box before coming in. Our Tyron actually does damage to Druddigon with Strength, but Ice Beam was easily going to KO, so it doesn't actually matter. But if you want to count this as a rule break, you can go ahead. Once Clauncher is back on the field, we easily KO with an Ice Beam. The last Elite Four member to challenge is Seabold, the Water-type specialist. Before the battle, I teach Clauncher Return and Swords Dance via TM. Seabold leads with our Dad Clawitzer, which we can outspeed and set up a Swords Dance on before getting hit with a Dragon Pulse for pretty good damage. On the following turn, we protect for leftovers, then KO with a Return. Next out is Gyarados with Intimidate to lower our attack stats, so I decide to set up a Swords Dance as it goes for a Dragon Dance. After that, Gyarados outspeeds us, but gets greedy and goes for another Dragon Dance so we can hit a Return for a KO. Next out is Barbaracle, which goes down to 1 Crabhammer. The last Pokemon before the champion is Starmie, which hits a Psychic to bring us to the yellow, but we hang on and fire back a return for a one-shot. Lastly is the Pokemon champion Diantha. She leads with a Hawlucha, which trades Swords Dances with us, but on the following turn it hits a Flying Press to bring us to the yellow from full health, but we can KO with a Crabhammer. 1 down. Next is Aurora's, which we protect on to heal from leftovers as its Thunder gets negated. On the following turn we KO with a Crabhammer. 2 down. Next out is Gorgas, which takes a little over half from a +2 Crabhammer, then KOs us with a Seed Bomb. Well, it wasn't terrible for a first try. After a lot of attempts we get this run. Her Hawlucha hits a Flying Press for good damage as we Swords Dance. On the next turn Hawlucha Swords Dances, but it doesn't matter as we KO with a Crabhammer. 1 down. Next is Aurora's, which I Swords Dance on as it goes for Reflect, which halves physical damage taken. On the following turn we protect fearing a Thunder, and we're right, Aurora's goes for Thunder. On the next turn we Swords Dance again as Aurora's goes for Light Screen, and finally we KO with a Crabhammer. 2 down. Next out is Gorgas, which comfortably lives our Crabhammer, but instead of using Seed Bomb it goes for Trick or Treat, which only adds the Grass type into Clauncher, and on the next turn we can outspeed and KO with another Crabhammer. 3 down. Next is Tyrantrum, which goes down to 1 Crabhammer. 4 down. Her second to last Pokemon is the pseudo-legendary Goodra, which we outspeed and KO with Return. 5 down. Her ace Pokemon, Mega Gardevoir, faces down my full health little shrimp, and this is what happens. She Mega Evolves and we outspeed. We go for Crabhammer. It misses, but we live Thunderbolt. On the next turn, we get outsped and KO'd by Thunderbolt, losing by far our best run yet. We lost because of a 10% chance to miss. If you're curious as to why we got outsped on the second turn, in Gen 6 and 7, Mega Pokemon retain their regular speed for the turn they Mega Evolve, meaning on the first turn it had Gardevoir's speed stat, but on the second turn it had Mega Gardevoir's speed stat. After over a dozen attempts to recreate that run, we eventually got it, and here's how it went. Her Hawlucha trades Swords Dances with us for 2 turns. After that we protect fearing a Flying Press, and we're right. On the following turn, Hawlucha sets up his third Swords Dance as we go for a return for a KO. 1 down. Aurora's comes out and we Swords Dance on the Reflect it sets up. On the following turn, we protect stall a turn of Reflect. Next turn, the Aurora's is KO'd by Crabhammer. 2 down. Gorgas is out next and we protect to stall another turn of Reflect, but it only goes for Trick or Treat. On the next turn, we're forced to attack, but it easily lives Crabhammer, but still doesn't use Seed Bomb, instead going for Trick or Treat again. On the following turn, we miss a Crabhammer, so Gorgas still doesn't go for Seed Bomb, instead going with a Phantom Force. We waste a turn, then Gorgas appears and brings us to 40 HP from full health. On the next turn, we protect because I played this battle so many times I knew Gorgast had Shadow Sneak, and what do you know, it goes for Shadow Sneak. Next turn, Crabhammer KOs. 3 down. Next out is Tyrantrum, which goes down to 1 Crabhammer. 4 down. Goodra is next. We protect for leftovers, then KO with Return. 5 down. Last is our Gardevoir that cheated death last time, but we won't make the same mistake twice, and we go for Return, which is 100% accurate, and we KO. 6 down, making us the champion of the Kalos region with only 1 Clauncher, except for that one thing with Tyro, but we don't really talk about that, and it doesn't really matter, so you know, shh. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry this video came out so long after my first Pokemon challenge video, but I'm glad it's out now because I want to get to work on a new challenge, which is going to be Pokemon Diamond with only 1 Delibird. It's going to be a Christmas special, so look forward to that. After that video, however, I might do one of the challenges you guys recommend, so be sure to leave comments on what challenges you want to see. And with all that being said, thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.